What up, y'all? Welcome to Marvel-ous Movie Mondays with Kelsey and Dill. It is a big title, but we got a big episode today. We're talking about two movies because this first Avengers Files, we were learning very quickly that our diminishing values of things to talk about we're showing with every episode. So we were like, you know what? Let's do two, so we're safe. If we have nothing to talk about with one, we can have at least another film to talk about. But it's been, football Sunday when we're recording this, like big day for me. Yankees are still disappointing me, even though they're still doing well. They're still disappointing me. But
Crazy.
that's my life. Kelsey, how are you?
I'm good. I'm doing good, Dill. I'm having one last trip to the beach. Hurrah, even though fall weather has come in full force. It was
I was gonna
quite chilly
say
today.
you're like I'm down the shore and you're sporting a long sleeve, so I figured
I'm
you
literally in
might be
a
a little chilly,
sweatsuit.
but that's fine though. Yeah, I mean, hey, it's still got a little ounce of summer left before we're full on spooky season, but that's exciting. I mean, spooky season is among us. It's coming. What,
Oh,
Kels?
yeah, I just got excited because I finally was able to finish up my 31 Frights of Halloween list.
Ooh, okay. So you're gonna save it for next week because I'm not ready with mine yet.
Okay.
Last week I was like already ahead of the game. I was like, all right, I got the movies I want to like put on this like wheel vote thing on Facebook.
Yeah.
But I've only gotten up to the 80s on the Facebook page. So this week on the Facebook page, you can vote for the 90s, 2000s, 2010s, 2020s, and then there's one that's just 2024 because there's still so much horror from this year I have to catch up on or want to rewatch. And then next week, what we'll be able to do is tell you all what our 31 days are, which is going to be really cool as we head into the first few episodes of Agatha as well. Um, very exciting. Can you give us like a tease of anything without like giving away your whole lineup? Maybe like a movie or two, or a hint of a movie or two, or maybe a theme, or you want to save it all for next week?
So, funnily enough, Dill, I went back to our first 31 Frights episode that we ever made because for whatever reason, my original TikToks, the first year that I did the 31 Frights of Halloween, they're all gone. I must have gone through and deleted them for some reason. I have no idea why because I was very proud of those
Yeah.
videos.
There's not
Um,
like an archives you can look at, like your private videos. Maybe you set them to private. Like really, they're just
I
gone.
I checked my private videos
Damn,
and they're not there.
that
And
sucks.
they always say like everything you put on the internet stays forever. Well, how come I can't find these videos then?
Maybe if you were to so there's like this website called like the Wayback Machine or something where you can like type in either like an address or maybe type in like Kelsey, type in your user for your TikTok plus like whatever your like description probably might be, and they might be able to find it. I don't know, but
Mm.
that takes a lot of work and a lot of undercover. But anyway, continue what you were telling your story. So you couldn't find the videos from 2 years ago.
I couldn't find them, so I had to go back to our podcast that we did it, about them 2 years ago, and I was, like, going off of that list. You helped me out a lot, like,
Yeah. Just like
composing what I
listening to offhand comments too. I was like, "Oh, I'm
yeah,
surprised you didn't put this on your list." And you're like, "No, I like this, but I want to talk about this." And I was like, "Oh, that's one that you mentioned. It's on the list." We got to
yeah,
like 24 or 25, so we were like 6 films short.
yeah, and so one of the films that you had talked about that I'm doing another year of all movies I've never seen before,
Okay, so
and
all
one
first ones.
film that you talked about that year when you did the ABC, the alphabetical
Mm,
31 Frights,
hmm.
is a movie that is on my list,
Okay,
and
all
that is
right.
the
I
only
like.
hint you
Okay,
get.
I like that. Okay, yeah. I'm trying to think of what I watched that year. I know that was the year I watched Child's Play for the first time. I know that was the year I watched Audition. I'm trying to think ABC, Audition, Babadook, Child's Play. I can't remember anything after that. There was a movie called Q. Are you doing Alphabet again, like
No,
me, or no? Okay, gotcha.
it has
That's
a
cool.
different theme to it, but
Okay.
yeah.
Nice. I can't wait. So next week we will unveil our lists. I am going to do I believe, my voting this throughout this week, where you can vote on the Facebook page, and then probably Saturday or Sunday before we record, I will do my wheel spinning. And then I will separate put a separate video together and release that after we do our reveal of our lists on the TikTok, so people can see my wheel reaction on the TikTok, and then I will unveil the schedule because I'm gonna put in the order that it's spun in the wheel. I'm gonna reorder it depending on what fits the vibe. Like if a Friday the 13th movie's on there, it's gonna be on the 13th, like stuff like that. So we'll have to figure that out. But Kelsey, what she does is she does it randomly every day, so she's not designating a certain day for a certain movie. I do that, but I'm taking a trick out of Kelsey's book and spinning the wheel to determine what films will be on my calendar. So we're doing like a little bit of a hybrid thing. But
Love it.
just because of New York Film Fest going till like the 12th of October, I have to make sure those first 12 days are the shortest 12 movies because I have to watch those on top of watching all the festival movies. So like anything that's like 3 or 4 hours long, I'll have to save till after the festival. Just otherwise, I will never get to watch them. So
Yeah.
the only reason I'm going to be doing that. But what else is new, the Kelsey? Watch anything this week that wasn't Captain America related or?
I've been watching a lot of reality TV lately, Dill.
Tell me.
I've been, it's been eating up all my attention. I'm obsessed with it.
Okay.
Love is Blind.
Oh, okay. I've watched the first season, but I've never watched anything else.
I'm obsessed with it. I'm addicted because I'm very late to the game. They're on like season 6 now, and there's like a whole bunch of drama that happens in season 6 that I know very little about. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go back and I'm going to watch this show from the beginning to see what all the hype is about. And I kind of really like it a lot just because it seems like it's obviously like, it's got the Netflix money. So it's like it's got the production value. It's got, Nick, what's his name? Like Lacey and Vanessa.
Nick Lachey. Yeah.
Lachey. That's his name. Nick and Vanessa Lachey hosting it. But like just
Nick Lachey always talks kind of like this.
Yeah. He's kind of like the knockoff Ryan Seacrest.
A little bit. Yeah. He hosted a show, I don't know if you remember, called The Sing Off on NBC, which was all a cappella groups. And it was like an a cappella competition show. He hosted that. So I know him first and foremost from that. Other people older than us know him from his band. I forget what his band was called. Yeah, he's like a singer. So yeah.
I've only known him to be a television personality host.
Love is Blind, yes.
But just like the people on the show, it all feels like so real. Like they don't feel like they're putting on characters. They're not putting on like a show. They're really just like very genuine people. Maybe I'm just drinking the Kool-Aid and it's
also because they're in pods. They're not face to face, so they probably think no one's really watching them, so they can be more lax. Like you can literally have a conversation in your sweatpants on that show until you see each other face to face, and then it's like now you're on. But by then you've already built the connection, so it's like But that's also when people's true colors shine. I watched that first season. I really really liked it. I remember, but I hated the blonde girl, whatever her name was. But then I also hated the guy who she got engaged to, Mark or something. Who ended up being like bad during the reunion of it or something. I don't remember all the details. And there was like a Damien, I think. I don't remember.
Yeah. Damien and like Gia or something.
Giannina or something. Yeah. But the blonde girl was someone else. Her name was like Jessica.
Yes. Jessica.
Yeah.
Who was like, she talks like this.
Yeah, like, which you could talk however you want to talk, but it was just more the things she was saying were just I didn't like her. She strung that Mark kid along, but then Mark was problematic during the reunion or whatever. I don't remember. I remember that season very vividly, but I have not gone back. I should go back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you watched any Bachelorette finale yet or no?
Oh, I did watch the Bachelorette finale.
Zach and I don't cover Bachelor anymore, so like I don't get the chance to actually talk about Bachelor on this channel anymore. But like I haven't watched this season, but I watched that finale because I heard it was nuts, so I watched it. It was nuts.
I usually we have I have a group of like girlfriends that I usually watch it every week with in the city, and we were just not. We weren't. We weren't going to be able to watch it together. And I was like, I cannot let any more time pass because
you'll just have it spoiled for you anyway over every little ounce of social media too. So it's like,
right, exactly. And so I kept scrolling past these TikToks of her like sitting on the couch and like crying. So I was like, okay, so I don't think she gets engaged to anyone. And so I finally like watched it for myself, and I was like, I just felt so sad for her because she's like going through it, and they're like, let's show the proposal, and she literally was like, do I have a choice? Like, obviously.
Yeah, like they even said like, are you okay with this? And she was like, do I have a choice? And then they didn't say yes or no. They just
literally.
Yeah, I felt bad for her. I haven't watched the season, so I really just don't know how much people love Devin and were blindsided by it, or if they were, like they weren't Team Devin, so they felt justified, or if the show knew where it was leading, so they kind of edited it a certain way to
Yeah.
make you not necessarily fall in love with it. But the sad part was that like it was a historic proposal because she proposed. That was the whole
Yeah.
thing, and that
Yeah.
was going to
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
the big finale shocker. They were probably
Yeah.
going to hype that up as the shocking ending was going to be her proposing, and everyone was going to be like, oh, so it still ends positively. But then that extra twist happened where he ghosted her when they went back home. So it's like,
Right.
ugh. So then they couldn't even
Ugh.
make anything about the proposal because, why would you? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Dill, I watched the whole season, and like this Devin character, we repeatedly referred to him as knockoff Pete Davidson. It's a joke that gets
Mm.
made in during the show, but
See, I never got that vibe at all, just from the finale. But like again, I only
well,
watched 2 hours of this whole season. So,
he just kind of looks like Barry. It's like in the face, they kind of look similar, but
oh,
whatever.
okay, okay, it's a looks thing.
Um,
Gotcha.
and so in the beginning, he just seems like the kind of guy. He's just like very aggressive. He's like, I'm here for Jen, like 100%. Like, and he's like kind of getting to like tiffs with the guys. Like he'll be very aggressive during like the group dates and like pull her aside like one by one. And like,
Mm,
so he was kind of that guy. So all the other guys were like, oh, Devin's like constantly like taking attention away from the group and like putting it on him, whatever, whatever. So at first you're like, oh, wow, like this guy's really gung ho for her. Kind of weird, kind of sketchy. You don't really trust him. But then he has a one-on-one and he totally wins you over, totally wins America over because he has this whole one-on-one where they're in New Zealand together and they're doing something with like the native New Zealand people. And they're just like
mm-hmm.
talking about like their paths and how they grew up. And he's like talking about how he, like similar to Jen, he also didn't have a father figure in his life, and he totally wins you over. And you're like, oh my god, they're perfect together. You root for them to be in love, and then he ends up being a shithead.
Yeah, yeah. I'm glad Maria has gone on social media to confirm he did not go out clubbing with her. She said, I knew nothing about it. I knew he followed me, but that's it. Like, I'm glad
Yeah,
she cleared that because they have had a falling out, Jen and Maria. But I know, like,
right.
Maria was like not having any of that. Like, oh, Maria stole Devin away. She was like, no, no, no,
No, no, no,
no.
no.
This is not me or Jen. Like, this is all him, not me,
Yeah,
not her.
seriously.
Support her. So that was cool to see as someone who's a fan of Maria as well. But yeah, it was shocking. Shocking, and then even more shocking when they played it back. I think they should have just played it and then like come back from commercial what happened because
Right.
but maybe they didn't want everyone to be so happy and thrilled about the proposal. They didn't want to blindside the audience, but like I don't know. I feel like blindsiding the audience would have blindsided the audience. That would have been dramatic. I don't know. But anyway, thank you guys for letting us have 12 minutes of Bachelor talk. Yeah, I didn't watch much this week. I've been just kind of like getting ready for this fall season and planning the festivals and all that stuff, but just kind of just taking it chill at the beginning of summer. I was very sick for 2 days this week, so I was just like down and out for the count. So
Mm.
didn't watch much there, but I did watch a movie or two that Kelsey recommended to me that I'm going to be releasing this week on my podcast. Wait, Dill's never seen that? As I promised, I will be doing a dual episode because honestly, I'll tell you right now, I can't fit a whole like 20 minutes on Aquamarine. I liked it, but it wasn't like I don't think I could fill a whole episode. So I'm going to be doing a
Okay.
dual episode of Aquamarine and Superbad, which I told you during our draft, our alcohol draft or whatever, that I was going to watch that as well. So for Kelsey's birthday, it's a little bit belated because I got sick, but I finally watched Superbad for the first time, which again has everyone always saying, "Wait, Dill, you've never seen Superbad?" That's the point of the podcast. Whenever anyone says something like that to me, I immediately put that film on the list and I will talk about it in its
Yeah.
podcast. So I'm going to be doing a Superbad episode with like a little bit of a review for Aquamarine at the beginning, just as a little tribute to Kels for her birthday.
Thank you.
And I'll tell you right now, I really like Superbad, so that's
Oh,
good.
good,
And it
good.
was funny because it's one of those movies I expected going into like hate just based on what it is. I'm like, oh, these guys
Yeah.
trying to like pretty much date rape these women. Like, why would I ever like this movie? But then you watch it and you're like,
Right.
oh, okay, I get what it's a commentary. It's not an advocation for it. If that makes sense.
So, Dill, now that you've seen Superbad, do you agree with how I drafted it?
Oh yeah, no, it is all about alcohol. Yeah,
Right?
because you don't know by the title that it has anything to do with alcohol, and it's one of those things where I've never seen it, so I knew the fake ID scene, but I was like, is that the reason she drafted it? Is because there's a scene where they buy liquor, but no, the whole movie is about drinking and the socialization of alcohol and parties.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, that fits for the draft. I think even better than like, and I'm trying to be respectful, love him to death, but like Chad Shaun of the Dead pick is great, but like I think of the zombies first. The alcohol is like a good setting, the bar, and same as like
Right.
Casablanca. I think of it as like a great war love story. That's what Dan drafted. But like it
Yeah.
is set at a bar. It's not about the alcohol. World's End, I take a pat on the back. That is about alcohol. That is about a beer crawl that becomes like quite literally an end of the world apocalypse amidst their beer crawl. So they're fighting. They're going from bar to bar, but really they're fighting off alien group after alien group. If you've never seen it, go check it out. It's great. But I definitely think you and Carrie nailed the alcohol picks the best, because Carrie picked Drunken Master, which again is like kung fu, but if you're drunk. And then
Yeah.
yeah, watching Superbad, I'm like, this is an alcohol movie. Of course, this is all about alcohol. I'm sorry
Thank
if
you.
I pushed back on it during the episode. I should have watched it way earlier in my life, so I could have been like, yeah, that's a great pick. It
I
probably
don't
would have
know.
been
I
on my
feel
list.
like Dan was giving me the most pushback for some reason.
Yeah. Well, I
And I
get
was
it. If you
like, "Are
haven't seen the
you guys
movie in a long
dumb?"
time, yeah. Yeah, because people think of it as like a high school comedy, and like you don't think drinking with high school, but that's the whole point. Is like you don't think drinking with high school, or you shouldn't be drinking in high school, but you know, kids do. We might have, but you know, I'm not gonna get arrested on this podcast
Listen, that's neither
for
here nor
admitting to
there.
having like a very very sweet girly mixed drink my junior year of high school. You know, which I may have had once or twice. But you know.
Malibu.
Malibu Babies, baby. That was like that's a classic like high school. Okay, I'm not gonna talk anymore about the subject because I don't want to get in trouble. But um, anything else, Kels, before we get into our movies that we have to talk about today? I like that we have these longer preambles because like the movies, they're
Right.
it's
Right.
another week where we're just kind of like okay, like I think there's a lot more to talk about with one movie in particular, but there's Captain America. Let's talk about him.
Captain America 1979. Let's talk about it. I keep forgetting the guy's name who plays him.
Very boring man. That's my name
Yeah,
for him.
that's probably why I keep forgetting. Reb Brown.
That
Reb
is the most
Brown.
boring. Okay, Reb Brown. I don't know if he's still alive, if he's passed, if he listens to us, But I will say, Reb Brown, you're probably a really nice guy, but like your name's Reb Brown. You act like your name is Reb Brown. It's
Yeah.
just bland and forgettable. But I'm sure he's a great guy. And as an actor, I know what it's like to be on the receiving end of a bad criticism. So I apologize for shitting on your acting. But oh boy, what a snoozer.
No, yeah, it was yeah, at some point I literally wrote down, I was like, this guy's a great actor. I say so seriously. Okay, so Captain America 1979, directed by Rod Holcomb.
Okay, bit of a cooler
Holcomb?
name, bit of a more
Yeah.
exciting name.
Um,
An extra syllable there. Yeah.
and so this first movie is our origin story of Captain America. It is very different from the MCU's Captain America, from
Yeah.
like the comic book Captain Steve Rogers. So when we meet Steve Rogers, he is seemingly coming home from being in war. So he's still a soldier, as we know and love Steve
Mm-hmm.
Rogers to be. But he's getting the old 1-2 punch thrown at him. He's getting pranked right now. At like a cartoon character might, with some slick oil getting spilled onto the road that he's driving on.
Mm.
And so there's this whole ploy, this like team of men are trying to like stop him, intercept him. They're trying to kill him, I guess, is really what they're trying to do. Because for some reason, we don't know yet. The audience doesn't know yet.
This is
But
a
Steve
superhero
Rogers
movie.
ends up driving straight off a cliff. And
Ta-da! The end.
that's our opening sequence to
Yeah.
this film.
Hey, not the worst cold open we've seen.
No.
Yeah, like I was hooked. I was like, okay, what? Tell me more.
Yeah.
Tell me more. Did they get very far?
But then, Dill, I was immediately confused because then it just shows him like arriving to the hospital that the doctor, whatever his name works at,
Yeah,
Will Smith. Oh, what's his name?
it's I think you combined Nick Fury and Sam Wilson. I think you just said Nick Wilson, but
Nick Wilson. Because
like,
it's like Miller, but it also could be Wilson.
again, very very generic names, both actors and characters alike here. I mean, what is it?
Simon Mills.
Yeah, okay, there you go. Like,
I was kind
yeah.
of close.
I mean, yeah, just like generic white guy dartboard. There you go.
And so basically, we learn from this Dr. Simon Mills that um, Steve Rogers' father was the creator of what we know to be the super soldier serum, but in this
Mm.
movie, they call it FLAG, which stands for something. But I
I
honestly,
mean,
I put my subtitles on and they weren't saying any of the words that were getting said on screen for some reason. Like it just
that's so
was
funny.
not happening.
Yeah, no, I flag. It's like one of those things where it's like it makes sense. It's Captain America, the American flag, but it's also just like, come on, like
It's
it's so
very on the
dumb.
nose.
It's so
Yeah.
dumb. Oh, I love it though. I like that stuff. Like that's the camp I like from these like old like 70s movies is like that kind of shit where I'm like, okay, there you go. That's just silly, and
Yeah.
I'm fine with that. I'm
And
fine with that.
so Dr. Simon Mills, like, apparently got in touch with Steve Rogers because he's like, listen, all of the animals in my lab have been injected with flag. It's just the only problem is that they die after 2 weeks because their
Yeah.
bodies just can't take it anymore. And
Hmm.
I need to experiment on someone who has successfully, um, like, because it was his dad's serum. He's like, I
Yeah, it's like
want
who has the
to,
genetic makeup
yeah.
of your father. Yeah, which
So
is
he's like,
like
I want to
a tough
experiment on
ask.
you.
That's a tough ask. If you someone came to me and was
Right.
like, "Oh, so your dad did this, so like you're the only one with this DNA, so by default you have to do this." It's like, um, yeah. Which
Right.
he could have said no, and the one lady even asked him, she's like, "Oh, you said no." He's like, "I haven't said anything yet." I'm like, "Okay, all right." So like, it's a question.
Right.
I actually kind of like the sequence with like the little rat like pulling the fucking weight, where he's like just like walking and it's like, "Rrr." I'm like, that's funny.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
then you
yeah.
also think about it in a deeper sense, and you're like, "Oh, that's kind of fucked up." But yeah. Uh,
Yeah.
if they didn't add the death part, I would have felt a lot better about like being like amused by it. But
Yeah. Well, to be fair, that rat was it was definitely not the amount of weight that the guy said. It was definitely fake.
oh,
You know
like
what
in
I
real
mean?
life,
Yeah.
well, yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought that's why you were saying you were sad, Dale, because you were like, wow,
No,
this
I was
little
sad
rat's
because no, because like in the back of my head, I'm like, no, but they keep dying, is what this guy just told me. It's like, oh,
Oh,
cool, he's
okay.
lifting that thing. That's so cool. And he's like, they've all died. I'm like, okay, well,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
now it's not
yeah.
cool anymore.
But at the end
Animal
of the day,
cruelty
Steve
food.
Rogers ends up does saying no. He's like, I'm not doing this.
No,
Sorry.
don't blame
And
him.
so he's like, I actually have to go check on one of my friends. He needs help with something. And he doesn't just need help with something, like he's dying. So Steve Rogers goes to this guy's house. His name is Jeff Hayden.
Mm,
And when he goes into Jeff's office, Jeff is lying on the ground, foaming at the mouth on his deathbed.
yeah.
And he says, the last words he says are, Catherine, Steve, please. And we kind of get this point of view shot of someone standing in the closet, seemingly the guy who just murked him.
Mm,
And this is when I was like, wow. So this is pre uh oh yeah.
yeah. No, Kelsey's got the whole script on that page. She's just writing every word. She hung on to every word there.
Well, because I'm like, when did I decide that this guy's not a good actor? Because I think it was during this scene.
Oh, it
I'm
took you
so
this
sorry,
far.
Reb.
Okay. No, you good for you.
Well,
You
because
hung on for a while.
his friend dies right in front of him and his face didn't like change like
No.
he didn't twitch a muscle in his whole face. Like he was just like and then like got up to call the police, which
Yeah.
is like I guess good for you for making that your instinct.
Yeah.
So then now that Steve Rogers has discovered this guy at the scene of the crime, the people who were trying to kill him in the beginning of the film are acting tenfold. So he goes over yet another cliff, but this time he gets very badly injured and has to be immediately rushed to the hospital. The only
Mm.
way to save him is with flag.
Oh, who would have thought? Honestly, it's convenient, but like it gets there.
Yeah.
It gets to the point quickly. I don't blame them for taking the cheap route. I just I think it's funny though that they like have to do the same exact thing twice because of probably just the budget. They're like, well, this is the only cliff we got, so I mean, I guess we'll make it fall off it again. Like, okay, like it's just a
No,
weird angle. I think that's funny, but yeah,
it was very silly to see him go off just like another cliff.
yeah.
Um, so now that he has a super soldier serum, oh my god, this part was so silly goofy. So now he's in the hospital. Dr. Mills is like, "Okay, so I have to break some news to you. I did save your life, but it was with Flag." And Steve is like, "Great. So now I'm going to die in 2 weeks just like one of your lab rats." And he's like,
Oh,
"No, your cells actually didn't reject the serum at all, so like you should be fine, but we definitely want to like test and see what you can do." And he's like,
yeah.
"No, fuck you. I'm not testing this serum in my body. He's so sorry." And then one of the henchmen from the bad guy just walks into his hospital room, gun in hand, and is like, "All right, you're coming with me." And he just like stands up. Like, it's just very like, honestly, like, obviously, Reb Brown is like a special, like, not great performance in this
Okay.
film, but I
Yeah.
just feel like across the board, everyone is just super low energy
Hmm.
in this, and I don't know if it's because they were all trying to take it so seriously instead of,
Yeah.
like, making it more adventurous, fun,
Maybe.
whimsy
Yeah.
superhero comic book.
I mean, that's kind of the whole tonal balance of all these things too. It's like
Right,
you're a comic book movie, but you want to also be like this TV series. Because this one wasn't actually a backdoor pilot. This was just strictly like, oh, well, you guys like Spider Man, you guys like Incredible Hulk. Well, here's Captain America. We're gonna make
right.
two big movies, and that'll be it. And I think that's a smart choice to just kind of end it after two and call it a day. But like, it is very interesting that they're not trying to push a show because I actually think things kind of move along at a nice brisk pace, which is good. It doesn't feel like it needs to try to set up too much, too fast, or like live in the exposition. It
Mhm.
wants to really get to the next plot point quickly. But yeah, the acting, you can tell they're not like putting all their stock in these guys being series regulars for episodes and episodes and episodes. They're like, okay, you'll fit. You know, we need
Right.
you for two films, and that's it. You know, it's like a 2 film contract as opposed to like we're gonna put invest our whole stock of a series in you. So yeah.
Oh, I'm
Oh,
sorry. I
okay.
just remembered. I know the exact moment I was like, this guy is an incredible actor. I write so seriously. That's what I wrote down because obviously I was being sarcastic. And it was
Mhm.
when, sorry, I didn't last very long. It was very early on because it was after the first time he goes over the cliff after driving over all the oil spill. He goes over the cliff, he gets out of the van he just crashed, and then he just like it takes him like a beat to decide that how my neck hurts. And so he was kind of like he gets out and he's like, "Oh, right, I'm supposed to be in pain. My neck hurts." And he like does this goofy little thing. And I was
Oh,
like, "Oh
man.
my God, I want to know." Like, I'm like, who's this guy related to? Like, whose like nephew did they have to like give a job to? Because
Ugh.
it just seemed like he was just like getting told like things to do. There's like another shot later on, I think in this one, where it was very clearly like the director just Rod went up to Reb Brown and was like, "Listen, the camera's gonna zoom in on your face, and I want you to dart your eyes back and forth rapidly so the audience thinks that you're thinking." Exactly like that, Jill. Exactly what you
Yeah,
just
I
did.
know. I watched it.
Um, you're like, I also
Um,
watch these.
I also had the displeasure. I'm watching now. Yeah, he was a football player in high school,
Mm,
and
okay.
college.
Okay.
Um, he started appearing in film and television in the early '70s, playing minor supporting roles up until 1979. So it sounds like nothing really special. He was an athlete, it looks like.
Okay.
Oh my
So
god. He
not
ended up
always the athlete to actor pipeline is successful.
Okay, so here's the big fun fact.
Okay.
So after graduating in 1966, he received a scholarship to play fullback at USC. During the 1967 season, he ended up losing the starting running back position to another student, Mr. O.J. Simpson. And then he decided to transfer to another college in the area. So I think O.J. Simpson might be to blame for this because yeah, he didn't stick with USC, so he left to go to another college, and then probably realized acting was his thing. So,
Well, you know what,
wow,
Reb? You know what, Reb? You had a better outcome than OJ
it
did,
lasted
and
a little
that's
longer. Yeah, he's still alive. He's still alive. I just checked. So, Reb, honestly, I want to see if Reb Brown would do the show. Like, could we get him on the show? I don't know.
we've been making fun of him so hard. I would feel so
Not
bad.
making fun, just critically analyzing his terrible performance.
Right.
I don't know.
And so anyway,
Mm,
now that he's been held at gunpoint at his hospital room, he's obviously taken to go with this guy. Oh yeah, because I forgot to mention this. His friend from before, Jeff Hayden, has pictures. He has a roll of film that the bad guys really need to get to finish making their bomb or
yeah,
whatever it is.
yeah.
And so they really need to find these pictures, this roll of film. And so they take him to a slaughterhouse, meat packing plant. And so they're in like a giant refrigerator room with like all like the slabs of meat hanging
Yeah.
up around them. And now he's got the flag serum in him. So he should be able to take down 3 goons no problem. It just takes him a little bit to warm up to it, but
Mm,
eventually he beats them all with meat, and we get a great meat sequence here. A,
yeah.
a
Great
meat
meat beating.
a,
Ah. I thought that was the joke you were setting up. I'm sorry.
I
You
was
kept
trying
saying
to
beat and meat in the same sentence, but you were like dancing around it very cautiously.
okay,
And now you're
but
doing that with your hand. But
okay, listen, this is not what this show is going to be. I
no.
I
Okay. All
refuse.
right. Okay.
Um, I was trying to combine the words meat and sequence and say like meat quince.
Meat
Ooh, I
squints.
did it.
Meat squints. Yeah.
So we get a nice
Meat quints. Meat
mequence
quints. A
here,
meat quints. A meat
a
quints.
mequence,
Yeah.
because he
Or meat
ends
cute.
up like crushing. Well, the first note I wrote was meat shot. Oh, oh, right. And then every now and then I wrote down some quotes that made me laugh like a
Mm.
lot, and so
More than meat shot.
yeah.
Okay.
And so right before the
Guys, we're
meat
going off the
quince,
rails here.
the
Keep going.
bad guy is like, "Okay, tell us where the film is." And he's like, um, "I don't think I'm gonna do that." I sorry, I'm not explaining this well.
No, it's funny because I can hear all these lines, just these so matter of fact lines with this guy giving this total deadpan performance. Like, there's another line in the second movie where he's just like, "I don't think I will," just like
Yeah,
very like,
yeah, yeah. I
"I
know
don't think I will."
exactly what you're talking
Yeah,
about, Jill.
you see, like it's just like those line deliveries that it's funny. It's funny. Like these are entertaining movies. I'll say it right now. I had more entertaining time with this than I did like Doctor Strange and the last Incredible Hulk we did. Like I had fun.
Yeah, Jill, I think the only upside to this is that it feels very much like something you and Matt would cover on Frame Wreck because it's like it's like very enjoyable and funny, but like in not the way they intended. Like we're very much like making fun and like laughing at the ridiculousness of it all, and that's why we find it so entertaining. We don't actually appreciate anything what's like happening here artistically. But the line that I'm trying to get out is like at some point the bad guy says, "Yeah, and then he got dead." And I'm like,
Yes, and then he got dead. Yeah,
That's comical.
I mean, yeah,
That's really
yeah.
silly.
I mean, he got dead.
And so now he starts taking these guys down one by one with meat. He like pushes all of the carcasses and crushes one guy, and then he slides a big uh hunk
Meat
of meat, a
meat
big
slide.
T-bone steak
Mm,
down the aisle, takes the other
steak
guy
chop.
out, and then he hangs them all up on the meat hooks. And then so casually calls 911 and is like, I think there's some goons here at the slaughterhouse, and then
Yeah.
pieces
Except he
out.
delivers it like this. I think there's some goons at the slaughterhouse.
Yeah. It's way,
You
way,
did it a little too
yeah.
expressive, Kelsey. You're just a natural, so
I
we need
know,
to
I know.
we need to humble you a bit. Yeah, that was a little too good.
And so now we get this scene on the beach, which is when I wrote, he's got huge thighs. That's all
Okay,
I was looking at in this scene.
cool.
And we find out that he has a little bit of an artistic side to him, and he has sketched out a Captain America costume for
Yeah.
either himself or his dad. And this is kind of when he and Dr. Mills are able to come around on this whole Captain America thing, and he finally is like, all right, fine, I'll be Captain America, whatever.
Mhm.
And so he gets his motorcycle, his costume, and his shield, but the shield is comical because the shield is just a frisbee. It's like a very dome shape. It's very clearly made out of plastic, like frisbee. And the guy's like showing it off. He's like, "Oh, it's bulletproof. And check this out. Look what you can do with it." And he tosses it off into the distance like you would a frisbee. And it takes like 17 whole seconds for it to like float back to them. And so like they're trying to showcase that the whole point of it is like, look, you can make it like come back to you like a boomerang. But it's so useful in like not useful, sorry. It's so
Useless.
useless in the context of like being mid-fight with someone. But we'll talk about that later, especially in the second movie.
Right.
And then all of a sudden he's like also kind of having a romance with the female doctor who is kind of like the second in command with all the flag experiments that Dr. Mills is doing. I should know her name. Dr. Wendy Day. So they share a smooch on the beach, which is when I realized they made this Captain America much more of a womanizer than the Captain America that we know and love in the MCU.
Well, because he's not an old man. Like Steve Rogers that we know is like an old man, so it's harder.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. He still does kiss Sharon Carter.
Yeah, but also, she's his real love's niece, so it's like,
right.
He's holding on to clinging on to the past. But yeah, no, I got you.
So then he like has to test out his motorcycle, and then a helicopter comes after him. Oh, sorry. This is another really funny part when they're like getting ready to do like the last like big battle at the end where they are going to the oil plant to, stop the bomb from being made. The guy like opens up a drawer in the laboratory, Dr. Mills, and is like, "All right, look what I got for you. Like it's this great suit you can wear." And he just goes, "You got to be kidding. This is my drawing." Like, and it just made me laugh. So I'm like, yeah, no shit, Sherlock. You gotta be kidding. Like he's borderline like really annoyed about it. He's like, this is my drawing.
You gotta be kidding me. It's my drawing.
yeah.
I should be like a Reb Brown impersonator.
Yeah,
I think I got it down. Like, yeah, how dare you do this?
And you gave him the drawing of the costume. Like you gave it to him and you were like, yeah, keep it. It's yours. And now all of a sudden he's like pissed that he made it in real life. Like it was just so silly.
Oh man.
And then
this is a funny one. This is a good one. This is like
the oil
good
plant.
episode.
This is another good bit, Dill. We get to the
oil. Can't wait.
The oil plant. And so he's like running away.
Okay.
Sorry, I was trying to find.
He's like, what is this action that people do when they move their legs and their arms and go really fast? I wonder.
Well, because my brain kept saying chasing, and I was like, no, opposite of chasing. What is the opposite of chasing?
Yeah, fleeing, running.
Yeah, so he's running away from these like 3 security guards, and he's like, "Oh, I have a brilliant idea because I got this idea from the beginning of the movie when it happened to me, and I'm gonna slick the ground with oil so that they slip into these barrels." And they just like have this shot of him like he like just bent the pipe to like show his strength or whatever, and he like broke open this oil pipe, so now he's like spraying it like a hose, and he's just the delight on his face. He never showed any more emotion than he did in this moment where he was just like
yeah you got like a little bit of teeth in there, you got a little eyebrows. Yeah, it was good.
It was really, really silly.
Good for him. I'm happy for him.
And so because not only do they have to stop this bomb from being built, but they also kidnapped the daughter of the guy who died in the beginning. and Dr. Wendy Day, who he was smooching on the beach. And that's when I wrote down, if these two women just had a scene of them talking, like, because they're trapped together, they have them in the same room at the oil plant. And I'm like, if these two women would just speak to one another, this could have passed the Bechdel test.
Yeah.
But alas, it did not, because
No.
every shot of them in this room, they are silent. So, unfortunately, it did not. And then this entire sequence at the end of them, like, in the helicopter, like, getting to the bomb. Holy shit, Dill. This sequence went on forever.
Yeah.
I was like...
Yeah, it sucks because, like, the action of it is the least exciting part of this film.
Yeah.
Not the next one. We'll talk about it. But this one, like, I really just think, like, yeah, like, a lot of the sequences go on and on and on. And it's like a 70s thing. They love this, like, the open road people driving on their motorcycles and just driving on their motorcycles and just driving in their motorcycle. And it's just like, I don't know. I've never really loved that whole vibe of, like, just, like, cruising in your car for like 6 minutes. Especially when, like, the effects aren't good. Like, there aren't no effects. So, and everything looks cheap and silly. So I don't know. Yeah, I wasn't a fan of this action set piece, but cycle back in like 20 minutes. I'll tell you about the second movie, because that last action set piece had me gagged. But we'll get there.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, this is when I wrote down, all of these shots are not too long and 100% necessary. That is what I wrote, because I was like, this is just getting dragged out, because I thought the same thing when he first got his motorcycle too. Like, there were so many shots of him on the motorcycle. Like, I think I scrolled on TikTok for 5 minutes, looked back up, and he was still on the motorcycle.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. Like, that's what this movie and the next movie for a bit is like. That, it's just like dudes riding bikes. Like, it's crazy.
Dudes riding bikes.
Yeah, that's your letterbox review right there. You're welcome. Dudes riding bikes, 3-star.
And so I gave this one I rated them separately. I don't know if you did that too, Dale.
I did too. Yeah. Well, yeah, I think there's I don't want to say jump in quality, but, like, there's a jump in my enjoyment between one film to the next.
Yeah.
Whether that's a jump down or a jump up, we will find out. But yeah, I give this a 3 out of 10. Like, solid 1.5 stars. Because I think, like, there's that entertainment value. But it's not good, but it's not Doctor Strange, which I gave like a 2 out of 10. So, like, I'm looking at that as like my base level lowest, or if anything's worse than Doctor Strange, I will go crazy. But if anything's, but like the peak is like, we're talking like 3.5 stars is like that first Incredible Hulk movie for me. Like, so that's kind of the scale I'm at. I haven't gotten one of these movies that's like a 4-star, but I also haven't gotten like a 0.5 star. So, like, this is like above Doctor Strange, but not above anything else in terms of quality. But I enjoyed it.
So I gave this a 5 out of 10 because I was just like, at least I could find enjoyment and entertainment out of it. Like you said, Dale, like, even though it was for all the wrong reasons and not what they intended at all, like, I was giggling at it.
Yeah, it's a frame rate 5 out of 10 of like, this is my enjoyment of the movie, 2.5 out of 5. Like, that's my enjoyment, rather than like, this is how good this is. Yeah, so I get it. Shall we segue to part 2?
Captain America 2, Dead Too Soon.
Death Too Soon.
Okay.
Very important.
Okay, that is what I have written down in my notes. Death. Right there. Death Too Soon. But for some reason, I was Death Too Soon. That's what it should be called.
That's
because it's
guys, this episode's breaking us. I can't believe that. No, I love this because everyone watching this has probably never seen these movies, so they're just watching us laugh for complete. We might not even have viewers right now. If you are watching this, comment down below so we know someone's watching us. Otherwise, we did this for nothing.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Also, I did a deep clean of my room today, so a lot of dust bunnies and a lot of like my eyes are so itchy. So if it looks like I'm like either having an allergic reaction or stoned or crying, I'm crying now because I'm laughing, but like it's the allergies. It's
okay. Mine's allergies too, guys. Okay. Well, it's Captain America too.
So the best thing I watched this week was Superbad. Okay, we gotta go. We gotta go. We gotta go.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, we're moving right along here. I didn't take okay, so
Oh.
basically this entire one because I
I think
didn't
you can
take
start taking notes about 20 minutes to the end, honestly. But okay.
yeah. So I didn't take too many like plot notes. I was just taking notes more on like funny things.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, so basically the premise of this one, Captain America Death 2 soon because it's the second Captain
Yeah, it's
America,
edgy.
number
It's
2.
edgy like that. Yeah.
Um so essentially what's happening in this one is that the antagonist is Miguel, and he has made some kind of poison that is rapidly will make people rapidly age by the rate of aging 38 days every hour. Do that math, I dare you, because I'm not figuring it
One more
out.
time. I got my calculator. What is it?
30, you would age 38 days every hour. So how old would you be by the end of a day, Dale?
A day. So that's 24 hours, 38 days.
38
All
days, yeah.
right. So 365 days divided by 38. That's about 9.6. I don't know if I'm doing that right. Wait, 38 days.
Days.
Okay, wait, let's figure this out. So 38
Okay.
days, an hour, right?
38 days an hour, yes.
Okay, 1 hour. So 24 hours in a day. You're asking me for how long? In a
Yeah.
year?
How old would you be
In a
by the
year?
end of the day?
Oh, by the
Sure,
end
by
of the
the
day.
end of the year.
Well, let's just do by the end of the day. 24 times 38 is 912 divided by 365. You'd be oh wait, 912 divided by 365. I'm sure everyone out there is riveted by this. It's about 249. So you'd age about almost 3 years in a day. Almost
Oh,
3
okay. So
years in
by
a
the
day.
end of today, I we would be 29.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Wow.
So at the end of 10 years, you would be 24 years older. So you double your age in about 10 years, basically.
Yeah, so that's this whole guy's shtick
It's
is
a
that
cool. That's a cool like little MacGuffin. That's just like a cool thing because it's
yeah,
clearly establishing the stakes. You age rapidly. Boom. If that's it. Cool. Great. Because we understand what happens if you take too much. You age way too fast, and when you get too old, you die. Like perfect. Great. Great.
yeah. And so and he also, spoiler alert, has the antidote for it as well.
Hmm.
But he wants to use the poison first on the American people so that he can blackmail the American government into giving him money for the antidote. That's so he yeah.
Yeah, it'd be like if you found the cure to a disease first and then made sure everyone else had the disease so people would look to you for the cure and then you had the cure and then you'd make a lot of money off the cure even though
Yeah.
you had the cure all along. So you shouldn't
Yeah.
have made it people sick in the first place. Yeah, it's honestly a very good villain plot. Like that's a really good idea for a villain, I think.
And I will say that this villain, this guy who plays Miguel, is very like he is quintessential villain. Like he is deep voice, very
Perfect.
stoic. Like it's definitely feeling way more comic book.
Well, let me tell
And
you. It's one of the greatest actors who ever lived, Christopher Lee. This is the guy I was telling you about last episode. He was the dad in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, the
yes,
dentist. But he goes on to play Saruman in the Lord of the Rings movies, the evil wizard. He goes on to play Count Dooku in the Star Wars movies. If you ever seen the fight between him and Yoda, he is a famous villain. He played Dracula in the 70s or 60s in
mm,
Dracula, so he is a actual legitimate like great actor. So that is the biggest jump in quality. I'll tell you right now, I like this more than the first one, and I think his
mm,
performance is a big part of that because he is
mm,
so good. And it's just like it would be like if you got like Leonardo DiCaprio to be in a decom. It's like it's gonna make it that much better.
mm,
That's the kind of comparison. Decom actors are all great, but it's
mm.
like that quality. It's like you get someone of that caliber in that pool. It just automatically just makes things better and more meaningful in a way. Like you buy it, you buy the stakes, you buy the action. You feel like you have there's a purpose to it. There's like a it has its effect. If that makes
No,
sense.
yeah, absolutely, Jill. Because I was honestly wanting the rest of the cast around him to kind of match his level, and I think that
Right.
that would have elevated this whole project like tenfold because I just feel like he was the one like bringing it to the table. Like he was, like I said before, like the what these two films are lacking are just a serious amount of energy. Like, because even though it
It's
feels
too
like
laid back.
obviously, the actors are doing like, the characters are trying to get the things that they want, and there are stakes. There's more stakes in this one than there were the last one. Or at least that's how it feels like. It's just like, I don't know, it's just like it's missing like the urgency or something. And
Yeah, for sure.
energy is the best way I can describe
Yeah,
it.
no, it's too laid back. It's that 70s. Well, now we're in the 80s, I think. No, we're still in the 70s.
It's 79.
Oh, they both came out the same
They
year. Yeah.
both
So
came out the
again,
same year.
it's that very laid back 70s California, like riding
Yeah.
our bike down a cliff or along a cliff for like who knows how long. No phones, no hands, no shoes, like
Yeah.
no hands.
No hands, no shoes, no
No hands.
feet, no
Ah!
arms, no legs.
Oh gosh. Just like the mom from the chocolate episode of SpongeBob, like just chair.
I remember when they first invented chocolate.
There
Okay.
you go. There
So
you
we
go.
start this episode off, and Steve
Movie,
Rogers.
film.
Yeah, you're right. Sorry. We start the
This
film
is a
off.
cinematic effort, Kels. We gotta
You're right.
give it
You're
the
right. How
due.
dare I?
It
How
has the
dare I put
cajones. Yeah.
Reb Brown's name to shame?
He ain't a TV actor.
He's a big screen actor. Okay.
Nah,
So
come
he's
on. With a
hanging
name like
out.
Brown.
Huh?
No, I was gonna say. I was making another joke about how his name is literally the most boring color.
Reb
Anyway,
Brown.
continue. Yeah,
I wonder what Reb is short for.
Rebinold.
Jesus. Rebinold.
Like Reginald is like
Yeah.
Reggie, Rebby.
Rebby.
I can find out. Go ahead, talk
Okay.
more. I'll find out. I'll
So
be
we
the
start our film
useless
off,
one.
and he's hanging out with some old people because they're like he says in this movie, hey, the old people are his friends, okay? And not in a Steve Rogers MCU way where he just relates more with old people. He just likes old people in this movie.
Oh, is it short for rabbi? Like
Come on. Whose
no, like
name is Rabbi?
no, like when like in Fiddler on the Roof, like Reb Tevye. Like,
Yeah,
is that
but
it?
Tevye wasn't a rabbi. I think that's just
Because I'm finding Rabbi and Rebecca. So like,
okay, you
it might
can't
just be
find
Reb. It might
what
just be Reb.
what's his Wikipedia? It doesn't say his government name.
Oh yeah, I should check his actual Wikipedia page. I was just searching what is Reb short for.
Oh my
Robert.
god, Dylan.
Robert Edward Brown. Oh, we just took Reb Brown and made it even more boring. Robert Edward Brown is his name.
Jesus. Oh
Robert
god.
Edward Brown. Robert. That makes sense. Robert, Reb.
This poor guy. Okay.
He's
So
scrolling his Wikipedia page being sad. It's okay. He's alive. He's doing well. I think he does Comic Cons,
good for him. So he's hanging out with some old people, and he finds out that the old people are getting mugged frequently because there's a group of muggers who are
Yeah.
taking advantage of the old people because they get their pensions and then they take them to the bank and then they get robbed. So then Steve Rogers looks at this old woman he's hanging out with and he's like, do me a favor, go cash your pension check. And just like the way that he said it, I just so wanted him to be like, because I'm going to rob the shit out of this bitch. But I realize now that it's kind of even worse because the reason why he wants her to go cash her pension check is because he wants to essentially use her as bait so that he can stop one of the muggers. And so I almost said muggles. And so he stops the guy, and this is when I wrote down, okay, also the shield is a literal frisbee because
In case you forgot.
he does the boomerang thing again. Meanwhile, the guy who's mugging the old lady has now pulled out a switchblade. Like he has a weapon. Captain America has nothing. He threw his one piece of armor just so he could act as a boomerang. And the guy's standing there like an NPC in a video game, like when you're on the screen and you're picking the character you want to play. He's standing there like this, rocking back and forth with his switchblade, waiting for the frisbee to come hit him in the back. And whatever. So I was like, do we have to boomerang it every time? Wouldn't it just be so much easier if you just hit him on site?
You
Anyway.
asking me how? Yeah, yeah, it would. It would be a lot easier. Yes, I thought it was rhetorical. Yes.
Sorry.
You paused and be like, right? And I'm like, yes, of course. That is exactly what we've been saying for the last half hour.
I just
That
want to
is
make sure
not.
that we're on the same page
We are
still.
on the same page. Boomerang, not good. Not good. Frisbee, fun, but not good.
So then he ends up cosplaying a painter for a really long time. So he goes to this small town where everyone he meets is like, we don't take well to outsiders here, and you should just get on and get up out of here. And so
Mhm.
he's investigating the small town because they're having a problem with the animals. All the animals are aging really fast and dying, and it's because of the poison. And he meets this young mom and her son Pete, and there's this really funny sequence where it's jumping back and forth between like Dr. Mills and his new assistant that works with him, like trying to find Miguel, the mastermind,
Mhm.
Christopher Lee. And it bounces back and forth between them like doing that and Reb Brown just like walking around the town and like just like sitting there painting. And it has
Yeah.
this really funny music behind it that's like do like he's just like chilling, like like he's not on a really serious mission right now. Like he really
Mm.
is just like living his best life, and it
Yeah.
made me laugh quite a bit.
Mhm.
And yeah, like I said, I didn't take that many notes on this one. And so basically, the the henchmen who work for Miguel, rough him up a little bit. He gets into a little bit of a brawl. And so later on, he gets imprisoned because they're like, oh, you assaulted 5 guys. And so now he's in jail. But they don't realize that Steve Rogers and Captain America are the same person. So when Steve Rogers breaks out of jail, they're like, oh my God, Captain America came to save him. Like, we got to stop this guy.
Classic superhero bait and switch. Love it.
Yeah, yeah. And so then Miguel carries out his master plan of, inflicting a town with the poison to make them age so that he can blackmail the government to getting for getting the antidote from him. And they do it so with an airplane that would like write something out in the sky, and I think
Mhm.
they end up writing out smile in the air or something like
Mm.
that.
Because maybe do they have to consume it from their mouth? Is that why? They
Yeah,
don't
I
even
think
know
they have to like
what they
breathe
don't.
it in.
Yeah, so they're like, "Smile,"
And
you know?
so everyone's in this town like starts gathering around and they're like, "Oh, what's going on? Like that's not
Mhm.
usual. That's not really what the clouds usually look like." And so then like the
Good
air, like the
observation.
poison is falling down on them. And one of the extras is just like, "I don't know, but it sure does smell good, doesn't it?" And I'm like, "Yeah, take a deep breath, girl."
Yeah, no, that was part of the process in making this poison is they scented they tried a few different scents out. So it was like, the vanilla and then the
Oh,
lavender
right, right,
and then
right.
just like the clean sheets,
Ah, yeah, 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 like a
like
Yankee Candle, if you
yeah,
will.
like the man smell. It's like
Yeah,
one of
yeah, yeah.
each,
Like they
catered
like
to each
clean
person
like
you want to poison.
linen,
Yes,
salt
exactly.
air.
Exactly. Salted caramel, pumpkin spice. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
A
yeah.
good I love a good pumpkin,
Little
cinnamon, vanilla
sugar
candle.
cookie scent. You're like,
Ooh,
this poison smells great.
I love a
Yeah,
sweet candle.
yeah. Now I want to like go smell a candle, but yeah,
I think I might have to have a little sweet treat before I go to bed now.
can't eat a candle if that's what
No,
you're referring
can't eat a
to. Okay.
candle, but you can eat a lot of candle tasting things. Well, because a lot of
I know what you meant to say. I know
yeah,
exactly what you meant to say. Things that candles are scented after are things you can actually eat. But you
yes.
said candle scented things, which makes me think of wax, which makes me think of eating wax. But I
Right.
get what you meant. I get what you meant. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
So Dr. Mills and his assistant end up figuring out an antidote for themselves. They test it out in 2 twins, which I thought was very smart.
Hmm.
So one twin they give the antidote to, the other twin they just let age, and
How'd
that
they
twin
decide
is
that?
dead now. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay.
Um,
It's like a
and
Shaun of the Dead thing. It's like one twin's fine, the other one just like lives on the couch as like this zombified like old man.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
No, 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 no.
And Captain America has a little smoochy smooch with the mom.
Yeah, different
And
than Beach Girl. Beach Girl's just out of the picture now. Beach Girl doesn't exist.
yeah, I guess.
Beach
Well,
Girl's
because
still
he
on
has
that
a whole
beach.
new assistant. That's not even like the same.
Right. Well, that's where Beach Girl. Maybe
Where,
she's aged. Maybe. So this is the opposite, where everyone else is aging but Cap. So Cap's the young one now. You ever think about
mm,
that? That's crazy.
so he's like Leonardo DiCaprio. Like you can age out of being his type.
I guess. Yeah. Maybe. Yeah.
Gross.
Hmm.
And so then, Dill, my last note on this one is,
Okay. Are we at the
that's.
final? Are we at the
Oh,
final fight?
sorry. We have to get to the final battle. I was
I
trying to
mean,
remember how this
oh,
ended.
well, can I tell you my favorite part of this whole
Oh yeah,
podcast?
please do.
4 years. When he just takes his motorcycle and just whoop throws it, and it doesn't move an inch. It just and then lands perfectly. That from that moment, I said 5 stars.
Yeah,
Not
yeah,
actually, but
yeah,
like I
yeah,
was like, this is it. This is it. This is why I do what I do. That alone was just so fucking funny. And then it becomes like a plane. Like the motorcycle just like becomes this paraglider. It was so Mario Kart. I loved it so much. This whole
yeah,
last fight, it was kind of the same thing as the first one where it went on a little too long, but I was like, you know
yeah.
what? But instead of a motorcycle, it's a Mario Kart doing multiple things. Like that.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I was waiting for. This is what I wanted in the first film from the first minute. Like this is what I want. And
Mm-hmm.
you know they didn't even make a third film, which they could have utilized this even more. Like, where's our third Reb Brown film now? Now I want another one because I like this technology. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. They
Were you
really
dazzled by the paraglider?
they buried the lead for sure. I mean,
Mm.
I was like, I think I like watched it happen and said out loud, "Oh, of course."
Yeah,
Like obviously this is
like,
what's going to
it's
happen
the
next.
next natural step, of
Yeah,
course, of evolution.
becoming a paraglider.
Yeah, first it's the cocoon, and then the butterfly, then the motorcycle, and the paraglider. That's the natural
And
species
so
evolution.
he chases down Miguel, our antagonist, through these woods.
Hmm.
And he has a shield. Obviously, Miguel has a gun. And so they come to their final face off. And once again, Captain America, once again, he throws the shield and it goes off into the distance, into the trees. Miguel has more than enough time to dodge it. So that's what he does. He just steps out of the way and then it lands at Reb's feet. And by that point, Miguel's like, okay, well, don't try to bend and pick it up because I will shoot you. And he's able to, um, kick it up with his foot before getting shot at. I knew it was going to be like something like that, like
Yeah,
how kind of like our Cap in the MCU is able to he like
yeah.
steps on it every now and then and like
Again,
it,
a natural evolution of this one thing that has only done one thing up to this point. Like we need to
yeah,
do something else with it aside from throwing it like a frisbee.
right. And so he's kind of able to like kick flip it up. So he's able to dodge, Miguel's shots at him.
Hmm.
And then Miguel goes for his suitcase that has more of the poison in it. It's a very fast acting, aging poison. And so he goes to throw that at Captain America, but Captain America knocks it with his
Ooh,
shield and
good
it
sound effect.
hits. Thank you.
That was like I don't know if it was where it was in terms of where the microphone placement was, but that was like
Yeah.
a fresh like.
Very crisp.
Yeah, I don't think
Ooh.
you can even replicate it. It was
Can't
perfect. Yeah.
I'm not even gonna try because I don't want to ruin it. I don't want to
Yeah,
ruin
yeah.
the
Write
magic.
write down the time code so you can go back and listen to it. It's like
Yeah.
102:15. We'll start.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Can't wait to hear that back.
All right.
And then he knocks the poison into Miguel, so Miguel gets got, and now he starts aging very rapidly. And I thought that this was very cool.
Yeah.
It
Absolutely,
was a
like
very,
a
very
cool
cool
villain death,
effect.
natural. You don't have to explain a lot. You get it because you know what the stakes are. You know what the poison does.
Yeah.
Very cool death. Christopher Lee always has iconic deaths in every movie, so not surprised here. Very good.
So he goes to strangle Captain America, but because he's aging so rapidly, he loses all of his strength and he just kind of like withers and decays like right
Dies
in
of
front of
natural
our
causes.
eyes.
Yeah, natural causes.
And yeah, that's how our death too soon, Captain America 2 ends.
Yeah, in retrospect, the title works. Death too soon. Like,
Yeah.
no, you're not gonna like age us. Like, we're not gonna die too soon. We're gonna age naturally. I get it. It could have also more meanings, like
You
cheated
know,
death.
Dill.
Death came too soon, but I said no. I don't know.
Okay, well, let's not overcomplicate it.
All right,
But
yeah.
I honestly went into this one and I was like, okay, so I guess Captain America dies in this one,
Hmm.
but it
No,
wasn't him. It was
no,
everyone
and we
else that
still
was
never got
dying.
another iteration of Reb Brown as Cap. So like, who for all we know, he could have died that day. I don't know,
Right.
but we'll never know. What do you think of this one? Did you like this better than the first one? Worse? What'd you think?
I honestly this one didn't hold my attention as much. I was
Okay.
still kind of like as entertained. I only gave it 1 point lower. I gave it a 4 out of 10
Yeah.
instead of a 5 just because I don't think that there were as many comical moments for me.
Right. That's fair. I gave it a 4.5, which is or four out of 10. Sorry. Which is a two or no, yeah, 4 out of 10. Sorry, 2 stars. Which is a step higher than my score before. But so we both have the same score, just yours is one lower, mine's one higher. So,
Oh,
um,
interesting.
I like this more just because I like Christopher Lee so much, and I do think that final set piece with like the Koopa Troopa Paratroopa, whatever it's called. Yeah, like I love it. I always think of Koopa Troopa because that's like kind of my who I roll with in Mario Kart. If I can't get Yoshi, because everyone always wants Yoshi, so I have to kind of go for the second. But yeah, I like that, and I like like the whole last 20 minutes. I'm very entertained by the fight and the ending and Christopher Lee. Like I think it's a very good like final 20 minutes where I really can't remember much of what happens before it, but like good ideas. Like I like the serum idea and the poison idea and the
Mhm.
antidote. Like I think it's all a cool like inciting incident. It's just it's not as memorable throughout as the first one, but the ending sticks it
Mhm.
for me. So both bad, but like I like this one more. But you know.
It's interesting, Dill, because I felt like the first one kind of reminded me a little bit of like our Winter Soldier kind of plot line, where
Okay.
with the helicarriers and the Project Insight,
Hmm.
it was kind of giving that where they had to like shut
Yeah.
down this,
Yeah. Even the
grand
scene
scheme.
where he like walks in on his friend dying and like the guy's hiding in the closet. Like that's very Winter Soldier. Yeah.
Yeah. And this one just kind of feels like very much like, you know, a plot that could very well be like done in like I don't want to say like Falcon or the Winter Soldier, but just like something that has also to deal with like kind of politics and like American the government and stuff
Hmm.
like that. Like it just feels like it could be very easily integrated into the MCU that we know and love. So
Absolutely.
yeah, they were definitely I had much more fun and a better watch than I did with Doctor Strange,
Absolutely.
but yeah, I've been enjoying more often than not. I do enjoy these first Avenger files, so I'm glad
Yeah,
we're doing this.
it's just cool to look back. It's cool to
Hmm.
see where the origins came from because I think a lot of this we see on like in the new MCU, like how they've improved upon the character too. I think he has a stoicness, but they realize here that you can't just be bland. You have to have personality despite being stoic, and I think that's important. I think some of the stylings of the shield, I think they learned from this to make it better. So like I think they took a lot from this. I do think they thought about this when they were making the new ones. I'd like to believe just to kind of see how they could improve it. I would like to believe, but I will never truly know. But yeah, no,
Yeah.
I thought it was very cool, very cool. Um, cool. Any last thoughts on Cap as we call this one a day?
Um, I'm just thinking about right now. I don't know why, but it's just like very funny to think about, like, the different people who would have like very different takes on the role of Captain America. And I always think about how like John Krasinski was like one of the people that was like considered for the
Mhm.
role of Steve Rogers. And I'm always like, I wonder what that would have been like. Because
Yeah,
I just, for me, like, especially, God, nothing but light and love for Reb Brown, but like, Chris Evans is like kind of perfect.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like he
yeah.
kind of
No,
like
he's
nailed
perfect
it.
for that role. Absolutely, I agree. Yeah, I can't envision anyone else in that role right now. Steve Rogers specifically. Obviously, we
Steve
have no Cap,
Rogers,
but
yeah, like
yeah,
anyone can be obviously
yeah,
Captain
yeah,
America. That's very different, but like Steve Rogers.
yeah. Yeah, very interesting to think about. Reb Brown, if you are listening, we're sorry, but also like I think it would be really cool if you came on the show. Like I think it would be cool to just like pick the brain of someone who was there at the time when
Yeah.
these were just like these small little comic book experiments. They weren't really like well established or anything like
Mhm.
that. Like I think it'd be cool. But we do have to truck forward because we are almost at our first like big theatrical release movie coming soon. But we've got two more of these like TV movies to go. And they are both around the same character, so we are gonna double bill them again next week. So we're gonna do one last twofer, and then we will take a week off, talk about Agatha because we're getting the first episodes of that in a few weeks, and then we will finish off this month with one last First Avengers Files for a little while, and then we'll be back for more. But next week we have we're sticking in the late 70s and finally moving on to the 80s. We have 1978's Spider-Man Strikes Back, which is the follow-up to the original Spider-Man that we watched with Nicholas Hammond, which we both kind of liked. It was fine.
Mhm.
And then the Spider-Man the Dragons Challenge, which sees Spider-Man going to China to help learn kung fu.
Oh,
But
good.
that's same Spider-Man, so it is the same continuity. So we will watch those two. Dragon Challenge is from 81, which will take us into the 80s, where we will finally meet our web footed friend, Mr. Howard, very shortly, Mr. Howard
Mm.
the Duck. But we are sticking at the late 70s, early 80s, finally finishing it out with Spider-Man Strikes Back and Spider-Man the Dragons Challenge. I'm much more intrigued by the Dragons Challenge. I'm really not sure what that's going to be like, but I'm excited to be along the ride and the journey with you, Kels. Any thoughts as we go into that?
I just hope that they make me laugh as much as this one did.
Yes, at least not maybe if not the films, at least are talking about them. And we hope you laughed.
Yes.
Hope you had fun. This was a very silly one today, but I had a lot of
Mhm.
fun doing it with my pal Kels here. You can find us socials down below. I'll let Kelsey plug first. Kelsey, where can they find you?
Oh, you can find me on Instagram, Kelsey A. Kilpatrick. You could follow my TikTok. It's at Kelsey A. Kilp. Or you can follow me on Letterbox at Kelsey A. Kilp. It's the exact same thing as my TikTok.
There you go. You can follow me at Dylan_Randazzo at Twitter, Dylan_Randazzo417 at TikTok, the Dill Pickle Movie Network at TikTok, and the Dill Pickle Movie Network on YouTube if you're listening on podcast, and vice versa. Next week, we will be doing Spider-Man Strikes Back, Spider-Man the Dragons Challenge, and we will be revealing our 31 Days of Halloween, so stay tuned for that. Or, you know what, Kels? Should we wait till we cover Agatha, the first episodes of Agatha, to share our 31 days? Or do you
Sure.
not want to wait any longer?
Um, well, is Agatha gonna be the one that we drop on the 30th?
On the 23rd.
Okay. Then yeah,
You want to
let's do
stay
that.
until the 23rd?
Let's do
Okay.
with
We're
the
going to let you
spooky
leave.
themed episode.
Yeah, we're gonna leave you hanging in 2 weeks. Next week, I will announce which 50 films will make the wheel. How about I do that? I'll let you all know what won the polls on Facebook next week, so you know what's gonna be on the wheel. And then a week later, we will do the actual release of our 31 Days of Halloween as we kick off Agatha, because I think we'll have more listeners with the Agatha episodes as well. So that'll be a lot of fun. I do want to let you know what's in the lead for each decade. For the 19 like 20s, 30s, 40s, Dracula 1931 is in the lead. For
Mm,
the 50s, we have Godzilla 1954 is in the lead. In the 60s, Psycho is in the lead. In the
mm,
70s, Carrie is in the lead. And in the 80s, we have Fright Night from 1985 kind of taking the lead
mm.
there. So if you guys want to go vote, please go vote. There's a lot of ties that can be broken. And I will be posting on Monday. I'll be doing the 90s, then Tuesday, the 2000s, Wednesday, the 2010s, Thursday, the 2020s, and then Friday, 2024. And then you guys will get to vote. And then the top 50 will get to go on to the wheel, which I will spin for 31 days, which Kelsey and I will reveal in 2 weeks. So stay tuned for that. Spooky season's coming, and I'm very excited. Otherwise, stay tuned. Spider-Man Strikes Back and Spider-Man the Dragons Challenge coming next week. Leave us a comment, like it, subscribe, send it to your friends, do all that stuff. And we will see you next time. Bye.